Hello students, welcome to the 20th session of Principles of Business Management class. In today's class, we will be discussing about the steps involved in planning or the process of planning. In the previous session, we had discussed about the broad classification of planning on the basis of use, on the basis of time period, on the basis of their nature and so on. And in today's class, let's discuss about the process of planning, that is how the plan is carried on. So this is the flowchart of the steps involved in planning process, where the first step is the recognition and identification of problem, and the followed by collecting and analyzing the information, determination of objectives, determining planning premises, determining the alternate course of action, then selecting the best alternative, and once the best alternative is selected, then we have to determine secondary plans, followed by implementation of plan, and the final step, that is feedback and future evaluation. Now let's discuss these steps one by one. The first step of planning involves the recognition and identification of planning, of problem. That is, why we have to plan, what is the need of plan, that has to be analyzed first, and then we have to plan, right? So we have to think of why we are planning, what is the purpose of planning, then we have to plan for a particular objective, right? So why we have to plan? The answer for this question is either a problem of the business or the opportunity of the business. If any problem or opportunity arises for the business, then there arises the need for planning. So one such opportunity to get organized in the managers, the managers can recognize the actions that needed to be taken to realize them. A realistic look must be taken at the prospect of these new opportunities, and SWOT analysis is one of the method where we can find the opportunity or the problem in that. Not only SWOT analysis, there are several methods of finding out the identification of problem or the opportunity, like brainstorming or opinion from the employees and so on. Once we identify the particular problem or the opportunity of the business, then we have to collect and analyze the information. That is, what are the opportunities or what are the problem, why that problem is arising, or how the opportunity can be used in the business. All these things have to be collected, and information has to be analyzed in order to plan for it. So before actual planning is initiated, we need to collect the information, the facts, figures of the particular problem or the opportunity. To decide the course of action possible, adequate information is very important, and the information has to be analyzed for the interpretation, that is finding out the cause-effect relationship, that is why the problem is arised, what is the cause of that problem, and what is the effect of that problem. Okay, so if we analyze these things, we can easily collect and analyze the information, and this will help us to initiate the planning process. Now in the third step, the core concept of planning will arise, that is the determination of objective. Here we establish the objective for the whole organization and also the individual departments. So the objectives are assigned for particular organization and also individual departments. These objectives are the end result of the planning. That is, at the end of the planning, we have to obtain these objectives. The organizational objectives provide a general direction, and the objectives of department will be more planned and detailed. The objectives must be clearly communicated to all the organizational members, because planners, if the planners do not communicate all these plans to their subordinates, then the plan will not be accomplished. So there will be a faulty planning in the organization. So communication is very important in planning process. So once we obtain the particular planning, then that particular objective is obtained, then we have to start planning. So before planning, we have to make an idea of this planning premises. That is, we have to determine the planning premises. ಯಾಕೆ ನಾವು ಪ್ಲಾನಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರಿಮೈಸಿಸ್ ಅನ್ನೋವಂಥದ್ದನ್ನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಪ್ಲಾನಿಂಗ್ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಡನ್ ಇನ್ ಏರ್. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್, ನನಗೆ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಈ ರೀತಿ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಈ ರೀತಿಯ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟನ್ನು ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಕೊಂಡು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ದೇರ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಸಮ್ ಸಪೋರ್ಟಿವ್ ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ ಆರ್ ಸಪೋರ್ಟಿವ್ ಐಡಿಯಾ, ಪಾಲಿಸೀಸ್, past plans or something like this. All these assumptions form the planning premises. ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯ ಅಸಂಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲದೇನೆ, ಹಿಂದಿನ ವರ್ಷದ ಡೇಟಾ ಇಲ್ಲದೇನೆ ನಾವು ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯ ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾನ್ ಮುಂದಿನ ವರ್ಷಗಳಿಗೆ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾನನ್ನು ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಪ್ಲಾನಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರಿಮೈಸಿಸ್. ದೇ ಆರ್ ದ ಅಸಂಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಬೇಯಿಂಗ್ ಮೇಡ್, and those assumptions should be in uniform nature across the organization, and all the managers should be aware of these premises and should agree with them. Okay, so now we have framed the objective, and to obtain the objective we have put a particular premises which is called as assumptions of the planning, and now we have to plan for it. To plan or to make a sketch for the plan, first we have to determine the alternative course of action. That is, to attain a particular objective, say to increase the sales. What we can do to increase the sales? To increase production, is that the only way to increase the sales? No. We can increase the marketing activity, we can increase our sales promotions, we can provide the offers and all. So these are all the alternatives that we can make to increase the sales, right? So there is no one way to achieve the particular objective, and we have multiple of options to attain the business objectives, and all of these alternative courses should be identified. The next step, once the alternative is identified, the planning process is to evaluate and closely examine each of the alternative, and we have to examine the alternative, and we have to go through every option, and we should analyze what are the pros and cons of it. That is, what are the benefits if I choose that particular alternative, and what will be the risk of that particular alternative. And the alternative plans need to be evaluated in light of the organizational objective. So to meet that objective I need alternative plans, right? So in related to this organizational objective, these alternative plans have to be evaluated. Once these alternative plans are evaluated, then you have to select the best alternative. The management have to analyze the alternatives, they have to find the pros and cons of it, and then we have to select the best alternative among the available alternatives. The ideal plan is the most profitable one with the least amount of negative. So pros and cons ಅನ್ನು ಅನಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಯಾವುದು ಕಡಿಮೆ ರಿಸ್ಕ್ ಇರೋವಂಥದ್ದು ಮತ್ತು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಇರೋವಂಥದ್ದು. ಸೊ ಈ ರೀತಿಯ ಆಲ್ಟರ್ನೇಟಿವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಲ್ಟರ್ನೇಟಿವ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಚೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಸಿ that particular alternative is applicable or it will fit into the dynamic situations. Okay, now we have completed the best alternative option, and the next step comes, that is determining the secondary plan. That is, as we discussed earlier, the contingency plan. This determining secondary plan is nothing but the preparation of contingency plan, nothing but plan B of the business. What if plan A fails? So in case plan A is not able to implemented in the present situation, or if that is not supporting the present marketing situation, then these secondary plan help with the implementation of the main plan. So there should always be plan B of the organization. So now at this point of time everything is set. We have analyzed, we have collected the alternative, we have made a decision making related to the alternative, and then we have also made the plan B, and then comes the implementation of the plan. This is when all other functions of the management come into play. That is, planning is completed here but not completely finished. Okay, planning process is almost complete here, and the plan is put into action to achieve the objectives of the organization. The tools required for such implementation involves the procedures, policies, budgets, rules, standards, all these things. So all these things have to be planned, and this will come into existence. So once the planning is made, once the plan is converted into action, then here the planning process is not completed, because there is one more step in the planning process, that is feedback and future evaluation. Once the planning process is completed, the planning person has to collect the feedback, and we should see that all the activities that we are doing in management are coordinated according to the plans. In order to see that the plans are proceeding in right way, it is very important to make a continuous evaluation of the plan, and by this it will be easy for us to identify where we are going wrong. Okay, at this point of time we are not going according to the plan, so there is something that we are missing in that particular step, right? We can easily identify at that time. So feedback and future evaluation is very important after making up the plan. So these are all the steps which is taken for the process of planning. Now let's sum up this session, that is, it is very important to plan. So to make a plan, we need to make few other activities or few other steps. That is the very important thing to make a plan, that is the preparation of objective. And after preparation of the objective, the second important step in the planning process is choosing the alternative. So all these things have to be coordinated, and all these things have to go in sequence, and later the plans are implemented and followed up for evaluation and appraisal. Thank you.